I have been quite fortunate by God's grace and my parents' blessings. I came to politics accidentally because I thought of joining telephone operator because my one of the dearest friends became a telephone operator just after SLC. And later I wanted to become a freelance lecturer. But suddenly I entered politics from the student movement. And I was in organization. I was totally dedicatedly working for the organization. I never thought of being an MP. I became an MP, Member of Parliament, that too from Bangalore. I never went to anybody to give me a ticket, nominate me, do something like that. It just happened to me. And even the Union Cabinet post just happened to me. One thing I have learned in my life, that one has to take guard of three things. One is arrogance. Second thing is ignorance. Third thing is indulgence. When you are in a high position, a responsible position, every human being, these three things hinder. But more so when you are in public office. Therefore, one has to be on guard vis-a-vis these three things. Therefore, if I can say, in my earlier days, when I look back and introspect, I feel now that I was also victim of these three things. But slowly God made me see the light, and I don't know, now people say that Kumar is arrogant. Ignorant, of course I am, but indulgence also, I am much restrained. I cannot pinpoint one single contribution like that. For example, I was instrumental in bringing Greenfield International Airport to Bangalore. When the airport project was totally buried by former Prime Minister from Karnataka, I succeeded CM Ibrahim as Civil Aviation Minister. And I signed the MOU with then Chief Minister of Karnataka, Jayesh Patel. And that MOU paved way for this new Greenfield Devanahalli International Airport. Secondly, Metro, Bangalore Metro is one another thing. Kaveri 4-stage drinking water scheme, so many such things. These are of developmental activities. But at the same time, as a very active political activist, at the age of 16, I joined JP movement and went to jail against emergency. And I was in prison for 48 days. And then many times I have gone to jail on such issues. Therefore, one is forward-looking and caring administrator's role. But another thing is creating public opinion for nationalist causes. From whether you want a fight for democracy, fight for Ram Janmabhoomi, fight for re-accessing POK into India. Therefore, it continues. There is an element of constructive activity also. For example, Adamya Chetana. Though my wife runs it with some friends as trustees, and it is in the memory of my mother, Srimati Girija Shastri. Now, Adamya Chetana, through its Annapurna project, with the help of Government of India and Government of Karnataka, Government of Rajasthan, serves hot midday meals for 2.5 lakh kids every day. And there is a health insurance scheme. There is a virtual blood bank. There is a vocational training which has trained already 5,000 girls, that too SLC dropout girls, both in computer as well as tailoring. Therefore, this is another portion. Therefore, I can't pinpoint one single issue. Three basic issues are: number one, security of the country; number two, economy of the country; and number three, the development of the country. And under UPA government, the security is compromised. Internal security is thoroughly compromised. In last calendar year, we had 67 bomb blasts across the country. And what happened in Mumbai, I don't call it as a terrorist attack. I call it as war on India from our own soil. And the second thing, economy. The economy is in doldrums. 6 years of Vajpayee government, all economic indicators were looking up. Inflation to GDP level, to fiscal deficit, to forex reserves, everything was looking up. Now everything has become destabilized and has become a question mark. We are in deflation, but the essential commodities prices are soaring. This is the situation. And therefore, the economy is another very important challenge, the tottering economy. And development. During 6 years of Atal Bihari Vajpayee, there was huge investment into infrastructure development. Golden Quadrilateral, Pradhan Mantri Gram Swaraj Yojana, Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan. Then he also had a dream of interlinking of the rivers, 32 rivers. By just interlinking of those rivers at the cost of 10.5 lakh crore rupees, you can irrigate 8.5 crore acres of land, arid land. You must be knowing that the second highest arid state in the country is Karnataka, of just only after Rajasthan. And secondly, power generation. When China can have 3 Ganges dam for huge power generation, this interlinking of river waters could have generated not less than 50,000 megawatts of power, hydel power, which is cheap and safe and environment friendly. Therefore, these are the 3 major issues. Parliament is basically where you articulate. For example, from day one, from 1996, when I entered Parliament for the first time, I started pushing for circular rail for Bangalore. Because you have Bangalore Yeshwanthpur Tumkur, Bangalore Mysore, Bangalore Yelahanka, Bangalore Krishrajpuram. There are 4 spokes, and I thought if these spokes can be totally connected with a circular train, and if we can have local trains like Mumbai, 40% of the Bangalore's traffic can be diverted into rail system. But we couldn't do it after Wright's detailed survey. Then I became Minister for Urban Development in Vajpayee government, and I thought of national transport policy. I was one who who chiseled national transport policy. And there are 50 metropolitans with more than 1 million population. And I feel we need to unveil having metro for all these metropolitans. And to begin with, we started DPR for Bangalore, Hyderabad and Ahmedabad. And after the DPR, Bangalore is on. Therefore, this is how I addressed regarding public transport system. Regarding drinking water, we needed Kaveri fourth stage to be cleared. Because of Tamil Nadu, it was hanging. And now Kaveri fourth stage has been cleared during Vajpayee period. I underline only during Vajpayee period. And you have got whatever water now available. I think 90 MLD, but which is not sufficient. It has to go up to 120. Therefore, you may require Kaveri fifth stage, or you may require bringing Hemavati into Tippagondanhalli reservoir, so that to augment the depleting water levels of Tippagondanhalli. This requires not only administrative push, this also requires articulating these issues continuously in the parliament. And thirdly, Bangalore itself takes away nearly 40% of the total consumption of power in the state. If we can have a dedicated power plant for Bangalore, which generates 5,000 megawatts of power, then entire Karnataka will become power surplus. And you must be knowing that T&D losses are between 36 to 40%. And when you have a dedicated power plant for Bangalore, there are no T&D losses of that tune. And it also requires NTPC's participation. As on today, I feel Bangalore requires a world-class public transport system, a dedicated power generation and distribution system, and number 3, augmentation of drinking water. And with that, Bangalore also needs a clean and green environment wherein it has two portions to it. One is the entire drainage system has to be revamped. At the same time, our 3 rivers, Suvarnavati, Arkavati and Vrishabhavati, can we resurrect even one? Like Thames or Seine or Danube or Potomac? And what happened to Kempegowda's Rajakaluways? Can we resurrect even one? And even today, despite land grabbers, land mafia, 150 and odd tanks, talas, are still there in Bangalore, which needs to be rejuvenated.